KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on.
Presented by Super Chevy. See your Super Chevy dealers of Baton Rouge.
This is LSU football.
Logan Diggs, the single back to the left side of Daniels. Late blitz comes. It's picked up. Daniels goes to Neighbors. Catch made. Was he in bounds? They say it's a catch. They say it's a touchdown. Daniels looking to throw. Looking for Lacey. Spinning. Lacey has it. Left corner of the end zone. Touchdown. Fighting Tigers.
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Today,
From the 2024 ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa,
it's the LSU Tigers.
and the Wisconsin Badgers.
Now,
Here's Charles Hanagriff and Matt Musso.
From the studios of the LSU flagship station in downtown Baton Rouge, Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hanagriff along with Matt Musso, Taylor Sharp, and Casey Gaines as we walk you up to the kickoff of this morning's game between the LSU Tigers and the Wisconsin Badgers from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. The ReliaQuest Bowl to kick off the 2024 college football slate. It's been a good year for the LSU Tigers. They finished the season at 9-3, 6-2 in the Southeastern Conference. It saw LSU produce the school's third Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels. Daniels will not be playing in today's game, and that is the major storyline heading into this morning's contest. Garrett Nussmeier will take over to start today's game in a look to the future for LSU. They'll also be without their offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, who left for a similar position at Notre Dame. That means that quarterback coach Joe Sloan and wide receiver coach Cortez Hankton will take over the play calling duties today. For LSU's defense, it's a chance to finish the season on a high note in what has mostly been a trying season for them. For Wisconsin, they come in with a record of 7-5, 5-4 in Big Ten play in the first season under new head coach Luke Fickell. Their final game, Wisconsin beat Minnesota by a score of 28-14. Very much in the vein of new coaches, this was a transition year for Wisconsin as Fickell sought to transition their offense from a more traditional approach that was very much run-based into more of a modernized spread concept. And with those things go growing pains. So Wisconsin, who will be without some key performers today, struggled a little bit at times. However, Fickell, who did an outstanding job at Cincinnati that moved him into this position, has the program going in the right direction, and we'll see exactly how far they have come in the last month since the end of the season. Musso, the theme of the bowl season, unfortunately, for a lot of people has been opt-outs and the players that are not playing in the games rather than those who are. For LSU, this is a unique situation. No, they won't have Jaden Daniels, a Heisman Trophy winner today, but they'll have everybody else, including two wide receivers that figure to go in the first round of next spring's draft. So they're a leg up on most of the competition, including Wisconsin, who will be without starters on all three levels of their defense, plus their leading rusher for the season. So this is a chance for LSU to end the season on a good note, to get to 10 wins, to give them a little bit of momentum heading into the offseason.
The level of buy-in has certainly been encouraging because you're right. When you look around, it's been skeleton crews for a lot of teams, and LSU's not in that case. And Garrett Nussmeier, obviously the main source of intrigue. Is this the time the Nuss bus really takes off and goes into the rest of 24 and spring and hopefully fall as the starter? And, you know, Handy, we've sat here on this show all season and talked about young guys on defense. We know we're going to get to see Deshaun Womack now on third down. I'm intrigued to see who else, what other young guys might we get to see. Do we see more Whit Weeks today? Do we see more? We know we're going to see young guys in the secondary, but who else?
Well, in the vein of while you were sleeping, if you missed this, late last night, LSU got a commitment from the number one player in the state of Louisiana, in Dominique McKinley, who had previously committed to Texas A&M. Not only is he the number one player in Louisiana, but he comes at a position of great need for LSU. So if you missed that in the vein of your New Year's Eve party or fireworks or in the middle of whatever it was you were doing last night, you wake up to that good news, which was certainly a welcome shot in the arm for LSU LSU as they get ready to start here today. We'll take a break, and then we'll head down to Tampa to get today's show started. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
For those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Skull Session.
Presented by Gulf Coast Bank. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you. Now, here's Charles Hanagriff.
And from the LSU Sports Radio Network,
Gordy Rush.
And we head down to Tampa for the first time this morning, and we say good morning to Gordy Rush. Gordy, Happy New Year. How are you?
Hey, Happy New Year, guys.
Gordy, with the bowl games, it's always the first story is how much is a team really bought into this? And we see this go, way across the spectrum, across teams. Everything from opt-outs to, guys coming in that have not played a whole lot and having to adjust game plans, even coaching staffs that have largely turned over since the end of the regular season. For LSU, there's been a little bit of that with Jaden Daniels and Mike Denbrock, but for the most part, this seems to be a team that is bought into this, going for a 10th win this season. What impressions do you get being around the team here as they get ready for this morning's game?
Yeah, the biggest – I've been here since Thursday. Biggest impression I take away is, and everybody's saying the BK wants 10, and that's been the focus. They haven't they've practiced. This hasn't been walkthroughs. I got a chance to go see practice Friday. They were about 5 minutes away from, about 10 minutes away from here over at Tampa Jesuit. And full-blown practices like you're back there in Baton Rouge. And I think the continuity that they're bringing to this game is impressive. As you mentioned, really, it's Nussmeier that you're inserting there, but you get Diggs back, you get Wingo back. All the DBs are healthy. Dryden came back, and I think you'll probably see him more in a nickel role per se than at a corner. So, minus Daniels, you're healthy here, so it's a good spot for LSU.
10 wins. Listen, going into next season, whether they win 10 games or 9 games, it's still going to be, the program is still on very solid footing. But you're looking for those things of motivation. Gordy, Georgia, we watched Kirby Smart say, hey, listen, this is about 50. It's about this senior class getting to 50 wins in your career. And that worked, okay? Also helped that Florida State had 36 players out, but, that worked. This seems to have worked as a motivational tactic for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, no doubt. And not only, I think, the way that they practice and getting a chance to see it, but it's been talked about leading up to this bowl. I mean, that Malik and Brian Thomas are playing. And, I know BT didn't put anything out there, whether he's staying or not. But you get 2 guys with first-round grades that are playing. 9 times out of 10, those people aren't playing in games of this magnitude.
All right, let's talk about what the offense might look like today without Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier playing quarterback, but also without Mike Denbrock calling the plays. We'll see Cortez Hankton will be on the sideline. Joe Sloan will be up in the booth, and we expect that Sloan will be calling most of the plays today. What might this offense look like?
Well, I don't think you see too much difference. Obviously, I don't think you see as many design runs with Nuss in there and not Daniels. But everything that I saw is not different than really what we saw. I think you'll see your base 11 personnel. You're facing a Wisconsin defense. I think that's interesting that they were 6th in the Big Ten. They have 2 outstanding physical linebackers that they don't run necessarily exceptionally well, and then they've got 1 DB. And I watched the Nebraska game in full over the holidays, and Nebraska hit some big plays on them. I mean, so I don't think they're really elite on the back end. So I think you're going to see LSU again, a lot of 3 wides. They're going to spread the football field and try to get those big linebackers, those physical linebackers, to put them in a pass run, dilemma and get them out in space a little bit. And I really think that this is a big if LSU can block them, I think this is a matchup that really favors LSU's passing game.
For Garrett Nussmeier, he's been waiting for this moment for a long time. The scouting report on him has been he'll make a lot of big plays, but he'll sometimes be careless with the football and turn it over. What do you think he takes from basically almost a month's worth of practice knowing that he's going to be the guy?
Yeah, I think the big thing today is take what the defense gives you and try. You don't have to do anything today over the top. You can't imagine that Wisconsin is going to come like Florida and come bring a lot of pressure and try and play man-to-man on the back end. They just don't have the dudes. Everybody else ran some sort of combination coverages, and a lot of times we saw people run brackets or double-team Neighbors and Thomas. And so if you're going to cover, and I think that's what Wisconsin's going to do, they're going to put an emphasis on cover, then take the checkdowns, right? Maybe tuck it and scramble and get 5 yards and slide, but take what the defense gives you. Don't try to force that thing down the field.
For Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly's, pretty much put it out there. This is somewhat of a dress rehearsal. They've got to name a full-time offensive coordinator here fairly quickly, and it could very easily be Sloan. I suppose it could be Hankton too, but we're primarily talking about the quarterback coach here. What's this day for him, first time as a play caller?
Well, I think it's been the whole week, right? I mean, It's been even back in Baton Rouge and getting a chance to watch him conduct the meetings. I saw him run practice and actually watched a lot of the offense back on Friday a little bit in running point and see that, is Kelly happy with the way that he's running things, running the program, how's he conducting the meetings, the practices, and now you get to see on game day when he's been up in the box next to Denbrock, he just hasn't been making the calls, and what does that sound like? So I think it's a full, you get a full check on your thoughts on this. A lot of people said this week, hey, this is BK's offense. He's been more engaged on the offensive side of the football the last 2 weeks, and it's no surprise. I've watched LSU practice all year. When the DBs were struggling, he was down there with the DBs. Last year, he was coaching the punt returners when the punt returners weren't doing it. And that's just the nature, I think, of what a head coach does. So I think he gets a a full look to see, can Joe Sloan run basically his offense, and a lot of this is his philosophy on what to do.
Defensively, it was a rough year for LSU. I don't think there's much question about that. But this is a chance for them to put another step forward. We expect that there'll be some changes, however that looks in the offseason. But this is about today. Certainly getting Wingo back makes a big, big difference. And whether he and Mason Smith return for another season is going to go a long way towards how that defensive line room looks in the offseason. But just for today, what kind of foot forward can they put with what's behind them and trying to get better, just trying to get better?
Yeah. Well, look, I think that, there are a couple things that come out of this extended practice. I think all the young defensive backs, right? I believe the two freshman corners are going to start as they did the last part of the season, and you'll see Ryan primarily, I think, in a nickel role today. And let's see what 15 practices of work looks like to these guys. Now that you've gone back, you've been able to see the back half of the season. You've been able to teach them some mistakes on, some of the things that they did wrong out there, and hopefully clean some of that up. Are we going to see how much of weeks are we going to see at linebacker? Womack has worked with the ones and the twos. Womack was unbelievable as a pass rusher. Everybody's concerned about his ability to handle the run and handle the run right at him. So I think we'll see him on some early downs as opposed to some of the sub packages on third down. So this is as healthy as this defense has been. And Matt House deservedly has caught some criticism. I've told you from my seat, when you're struggling in the secondary the way that LSU is, you really limited as a defensive coordinator and a play caller for what the heck you can do. And it was so bad in the front half of the season that when you go out there with vanilla, one or two things is all you can do on the back end, and you're fair at doing that. I don't care who the coordinator is. So I'm looking to see the individual improvements some of these players, especially the young ones, have made over this bowl practice, the 15 or so practices they've had.
Last thing, Gordy, I don't know that anything can match the intensity or the charisma of the Pop-Tart. Okay, the Pop-Tart has stolen the show as far as bowl mascots go, but just give us an idea how many LSU fans they got down there and what we might see today. I mean, last time at the Cheez-It Bowl, they put them in a Cheez-It room. So what we got going today, I don't know a lot about ReliaQuest. What we got going today in the bowl game?
Well, you're not going to have a Pop-Tart. I found out after the coach's press conference, ReliaQuest is a cybersecurity. And the guy went off about 10 minutes on why cybersecurity is important to each and every one of them. So I don't think the cybersecurity mascot's going to be as fun as
it's a tough sell.
That's
a tough sell.
No. So and actually I was even questioning why they got a lot of money because they sponsor the ticket office for the Lightning everywhere down here. I've never heard of them before. I'm not sure why they're running out with a bowl sponsorship, but what's interesting about Tampa, the downtown area, it's all really condensed. You have the hotels are down here by where the Lightning play, and a lot of things going on. The Saints were across the street from LSU's team hotel. You had the Lightning play the Rangers, play the Canadians. I think probably a little less than what they had last year in Orlando because this is simply not Orlando, and it was I think an excuse to get some it was an excuse to get your family down there. More people would go do that trip a little bit, from what I understand. I think they sold a little bit more tickets than they did for this bowl game. So not a huge crowd. And, of course, this is 65,000-seat NFL stadium. And, half the tickets are going to be community, and they bring in the local high school to dance and what have you. So 30,000.
Okay. Well, we'll do with that what we will. Gordy, have a great call and a safe trip back, and we'll see you back in Baton Rouge.
Okay, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Gordy Rush down at Raymond James Stadium. We'll take a break, come back, get our scouting report from Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. like cypress stumps. Your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at Relief
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Scouting Report.
Presented by Demco. Demco, powering lives, brightening the future.
And welcome back in, Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We'll continue to count you down. LSU and Wisconsin, the ReliaQuest Bowl. Final game for the 2023 season for LSU. First game of the new year. Let's get a closer look at the Badgers and look back at some of what the Tigers did as well with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, the fast approaching Reese's Senior Bowl. Jim, we appreciate the time. Happy New Year. How are you?
Yeah, Happy New Year, Matt. Can't believe we're to the finish of the 23 season already. That went by really fast.
It flies every single time. And look, Jim, they'll play today, and in 2.5 months, they'll all be back on the field ready to go for spring ball again, and we'll start the process all over again. Before we get into today's game a little bit, I do want a couple thoughts on someone who's not going to play for LSU, and that's Jaden Daniels. But, I mean, we've talked an awful lot about him in this segment all year when we've looked at the LSU guys. And, I mean, Jim, from the first week of the year when we did this, I know y'all were so high on him. You had him as one of, if not the most improved quarterback in the country, how y'all were looking at him at the Senior Bowl, and he goes off and wins the Heisman Trophy. Just a thought on Jaden Daniels, because y'all kind of nailed it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, we should nail it. We watch it. That's all we do is watch tape here, so we should nail it. But no, we talked about it. We thought he was the most improved player in the country last year, most improved quarterback last year, and he did get better this year as well. But I feel like his biggest growth was in 2022. But no, it's been fun watching him. I mean, that offense has been a ton of fun. You never thought anyone would stack up to the 2019 Joe Burrow year, and here we go, like 3 years later, 4 years later, whatever it's been, and you have another Heisman winner and a guy that put up really similar, if not better, numbers in some categories. So unbelievable year by Jaden. Really happy for him. I know he's put in a ton of work, and now we're just waiting on the answer for the Senior Bowl. Hopefully we can get him over here in Mobile, and he can wear that Tiger helmet one more time.
I know everybody would be excited to see that. One more on Jaden. Jim, I know you're not a big fan of mock drafts, and I understand. So I'll use it as more of a jumping off point when talking about Jaden Daniels, because he shot up draft boards. So I guess what I really want to know is, maybe not from a mock standpoint, but from a scout's view, how real is that rise where, I mean, a lot of people have him from a day 3 pick preseason to now top 10?
Well, I mean, I can just tell you based off my experience with in the fall. So I was at the Alabama game. And Jaden was having a unbelievable first half before he got knocked out. And I was sitting by 2 NFL scouts, and I asked both of them where they thought he would go, and one said 3rd round and one said 4th round. Now you turn around and Mel Kiper's got him as the 4th pick in the draft. So I think it's probably somewhere in between there. I think that, that last month of the season certainly helped Jaden. He played big in some big games. That Florida game was an all-timer. So, I mean, I do think he's probably somewhere in that first-round conversation. I mean, this is a long process. The interview process is huge for all players, but especially quarterbacks. So he needs to get around these teams and spend time with these GMs and these coordinators and these quarterbacks coaches and all that. But, yeah, I think that, I think he's a starting-level NFL player, and usually those guys, usually those starting-level guys go in the first or second round. So, but is he like a slam dunk top 10 pick? I think that's premature. I think the media always kind of jumps on that stuff and really drives that narrative home because they want to be like the first guy to say it. A lot of these guys want to be the first ones to push Jaden up there in the top 10. So I think that's happening a little bit, but he's helped himself a ton, to get from early day 3, which is where most teams had him to start the year, up into the top 10. I mean, that's really hard to do, but as he worked himself into the first round conversation, sure. And then once you get in the first round, all it takes is one team to be like, what, forget, what anyone else thinks. We're going to take him here at this spot. So I think he's put himself in a really good position as we enter the process.
One guy on LSU's team that has accepted the invite to the Senior Bowl is center Charles Turner. He will play in the ReliaQuest Bowl later today. But we've talked about Turner plenty of times throughout, especially leading up into the A&M game and the Florida game where he really was able to put some good stuff on tape for scouts. Just, again, a thought on Turner and your excitement level to have him in the game this year.
Yeah, Charles has been a guy we've really liked. He's you always go back to your first exposure as a scout. Sometimes that first exposure can leave an indelible mark. And over the summer, the first game we watched was the Alabama tape from last year, and Charles played really, really well in that game against a bunch of future NFL people. So this was a learning experience for us. This is the first year we can bring underclassmen to the game, so we had to allocate some spots for the junior players if they came out. And then the other layer of this thing that's really complicated our process is the extra COVID year. In a normal circumstance, Charles Turner is leaving LSU and there's no other recourse. Well, we heard that LSU was trying to keep Charles Turner in and talk him into going back for another year, which schools are doing all over the country. It's not just LSU, but that made us pause a little bit too. We didn't want a Senior Bowl invite, to maybe sway a decision if he was a guy that the LSU program wanted to have back. So that's part of the reason why we held off on the invite right away. And then once it became pretty clear that Charles was intent on leaving and coming out in the draft, that's when we extended the invite. So he belongs here. He's probably going to go in the mid-round somewhere. I think the upside to Charles is just getting bigger and stronger because he's plenty athletic. I mean, he's played really well in the best league in college football. So excited to get him here. Right now, he's our only Tiger helmet. Maybe there'll be a junior or someone we can add, or hopefully we get Jaden here because Jaden belongs here too. So, but yeah, we're excited to get Charles here.
Flip over to Wisconsin, LSU's opponent for today. A couple players that we can look at. The thing with bowl games now, Jim, is you have to kind of first check, okay, wait, who's actually playing, who's not. For Wisconsin, there's one on each side of the ball that I know y'all did some work on. Both have decided to go back for another year, so they'll play in this game. Let's start offensively with their left tackle, Jack Nelson.
Yeah, Jack's the guy that we watched a lot of. We invited Jack to the Senior Bowl. He decided to go back to school for another year. We actually got their center, Tanner Bordolini, to commit to the game, so he'll be here in Mobile. But, Jack's the guy that had he come out probably would have been a fringe top 100 player, late 3rd, mid 4th round player, somewhere in that range, I would guess, just based off our work and the teams we spoke with. But he decided to go back. He's the guy that looks like he's going to be an NFL starter. I mean, you usually take starters in the first 3 rounds. He's going back for another year, so he's had a good year for those guys. He got better and better as the season went on, and it was a great get. It was a great get for the Badgers getting him back.
And then on the defensive side of the ball for them today, LSU will see at cornerback Ricardo Holman, another guy who I know y'all did work on, who decided to go back. And look, this will be one of the first tapes that probably gets popped on for him facing guys like Neighbors and Thomas.
Yeah, big prove-it game for Hallman. You know, he had a really nice year for those guys. He's an undersized corner. He plays really smart. He reads routes well. He anticipates well. He's got good ball skills. So if he had a little ball hawk knack to him this year, I think the question is going to be for an undersized guy, like, can he run? That's the question. And if I was LSU, I would be testing that with those receivers and threaten him vertically and see if he can keep up. Because if you throw it in front of him, if he can squat on routes and just, read the quarterback and read routes and jump stuff, he's a really good player. So, but yeah, if I was LSU today, I would be trying to gauge that speed.
Talking with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, with us each week all year long here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, scouting the competition. Jim kind of mentioned it off the top there. Fast approaching is the Reese's Senior Bowl, February 3rd, 2024. Of course, it'll be televised on the NFL Network, or fans. Tickets are on sale now. Get them and go to Mobile and see it yourself. It's not just the game, though, Jim. It's the week and everything that leads up to us. Tell us a little bit about what that week in Mobile is like for fans hopefully looking to attend.
Yeah, we've done a lot to build the week out. I mean, practices are a lot of fun. We moved our game 4 years ago to the University of South Alabama, so brand new venue, state-of-the-art facility. There is a new vibe out at practice. The whole NFL is there. You'll see all the coaches and general managers and those guys down on the field. It's just a great week. And then if you do come over for the game, and again, it's a short drive. I've driven over to Baton Rouge a few times this fall. Not a bad drive at all, and whatever it is, 3 hours. But we got the game kicking off at noon on Saturday, February 3rd. We are going to be honoring our 75th anniversary team, which, I mean, geez, I think there's 21 gold jackets of the 41 guys on the list. So you've got a bunch of Pro Football Hall of Famers. I think we got commitments already from like Terrell Owens and Derek Brooks and Dan Marino and Brett Favre, and some of these guys will be back for game day. And then we got Mardi Gras parades at night, because Mobile is the original home of Mardi Gras. So we're going to have a couple 100,000 people downtown for the Mardi Gras parade. And then Senior Bowl, we're throwing a free Counting Crows concert that night downtown Mobile after the Mardi Gras parade. So yeah, drive over, spend a couple days. That Saturday, February 3rd, is going to be a quintessential Mobile day with Senior Bowl, Mardi Gras, and then a really cool Counting Crows show.
Y'all get out there and check out the Senior Bowl. It's a one-of-a-kind experience there, and if you can't get enough football, that's some of the best that you're going to see. And 21 gold jackets there for a ceremony. That's going to be incredible. Jim, we appreciate the time all year. Thank you for the insight and the knowledge. It's been great to chat once again, and maybe we'll do it again for the 2024 season. Thank you, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Matt, it's been a lot of fun, man. Have a great 2024, and hopefully we'll reconnect in the fall.
Absolutely. That is Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, with our scouting report. We're going to grab a break, continue counting you down on the other side. It's the ReliaQuest Bowl, LSU versus Wisconsin. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Otterlocks.
Presented by Excel. For over 30 years, excellence in providing construction engineering and fabrication services. For information, visit us at excelusa.com.
Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues ahead of LSU and Wisconsin, the ReliaQuest Bowl down in Tampa. Time now for Otterlocks. Not only this game, but the playoffs start this afternoon. Jimmy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Happy New Year, Charlie.
Happy New Year to you as well. Let's go in order and start with this LSU game. Obviously, there's going to be some players out, but for LSU, and we'll start with them, Jaden Daniels opting out of this game was expected and understandable. But, Jimmy, the participation for the rest of LSU is pretty good. For instance, you got 2 wide receivers that are both expected to go in the first round of the draft, and they're both playing today. So in the game of opt-outs, and we've been playing this all bowl season, who's playing, who's not playing, who's motivated, who's not motivated, LSU is about as intact as you can get for a 9-3 team playing in this type of game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to qualify the bowls. First of all, you got the 2 playoff games, and then you have the New Year's 6 bowls. And then it's your Power 5 teams playing in bowls, and the Power 5 teams playing in the non-New Year's 6 bowls are the ones that were affected the most. And LSU, now listen, Jaden Daniels is the best player in college football. Not only did he win the Heisman, because not all the time does the best player in college football win the Heisman. He was, and so that's a big deal. You do have a capable, experienced backup in Nussmeier, who the betting public has shown some support. So this thing opened up a 9. It went as high as 10.5 when word leaked out that it was, that Daniels was going to sit out. It bottomed out at 6.5, and man, the betting public has come back on LSU for this spot. So there's some Nussmeier support there. But you're right, Charlie. You qualified it best. I mean, there's no other Power 5 program that has two projected first-round draft picks that are going to play in a bowl game, any bowl game, New Year's 6 or, New Year's 6 or non-New Year's 6 bowls. So it's a very high percentage. You lose. It's kind of a two-way street. You lose the best player in college football. You've got a more capable backup than most, but also you have a high percentage of your starters and your impact guys that is going to play in this. For example, North Carolina, Drake May and Jaden Daniels, come see, come saw. I mean, I could listen to an argument for either one of those guys going first in the draft. There were 12 other starters that were out of that game against West Virginia in the Mayo Bowl. That LSU is not dealing with those kind of numbers as far as the amount of starters that are missing. It's one thing for the opt-outs, the transfer portal. It's another thing for starters that are missing. LSU has a high percentage of starters that are going to play today.
Not only they're getting a guy back in Mekhi Wingo who hasn't played since mid-season, and certainly he could go get ready for the draft. He may come back to LSU. We'll see. But he's playing in this game, so they get that as well. Everybody's got their expectations of Garrett Nussmeier today. We've seen a lot of him, though this is his first start at LSU. What do you expect to see out of him today?
Kind of what we've seen in his to this point. Inconsistency. He's going to make some plays. He's going to make some mistakes. I think it's funny that he's been coached by the same coaches the last 2 years, because Jaden Daniels has gone out of his way, almost to a fault last year in 2022, to protect the ball, wouldn't let the ball go. But he still protected the ball with even being more aggressive this year. Nussmeier will throw the ball into coverage. He'll make some plays and he'll make some mistakes. So I think that's the big jump that a lot of people would like to see, that him just protect the ball more. And, you know, knowing that he's the guy now, clearly, they're kind of taking a sort of a backseat, drivers looking for a reserve, not for a guy to come in and compete with him. It is truly his team. And, you know, Charlie, I think he deserves it, you know, staying in your program that long. So some people may disagree, that's fine. But, you know, he just some hits and misses, as he's shown us in the past. I would like to see him protect the football a little bit more.
All right, the opt-outs for Wisconsin are significant. Their top running back, Braylon Allen, is out. Also, their starting center, Tanner Bortolini, is out of this game. He's opted out. You know how we react when starting centers go out. We think that's significant. On the defensive side, defensive end Rodis Johnson, inside linebacker Jordan Turner, nickelback Jason Maitre, all in the transfer portal. What did you think of Wisconsin in what we're calling the transition year under Luke Fickell?
Uncomfortable. I just thought it was a little bit of a mistake. I thought you could have adjusted some things without trying to completely overhaul some things. You know, a lot of people that follow college football just don't understand the resources that these different programs have. You know, Barry Alvarez elevated this program by identifying exactly what those resources are, and that is big, burly offensive linemen going to lean on you. And, you know, old style football, but they produced a lot. And the high schools in Wisconsin play that style of football. Then you're going to try and go to a Lincoln Riley type of spread attack. That just doesn't work, man. And, you know, I understand trying to modernize some things, but to completely overhaul it, you're going to have some transition issues. You know, similar type of move this past year with some of the military academies, and the one that stayed the same the most was Air Force and had the best season. So nobody changed their style as much as Wisconsin did. And then Tanner Mordecai, who, you know, he went down with an injury at the wrong time, kind of the middle of the season. So even in, like, it's a first-year coach, which Fickell is, one of the things that applies here to Wisconsin, I think Wisconsin was robbed of seeing if Mordecai in this new offense could gain more traction in the second half of the season. When he went down, that kind of changed everything. But, you know, the splits, the linemen going from drive blocking to zone blocking, it's just, you know, that's not the roster to do it. So you've recruited to a certain style for years and years, and how many coaches since Barry Alvarez, Bielema, and others, and it was very awkward this year, and I think it hurt them because they fell considerably lower than expectations this year.
So you're going with LSU laying the points here to this morning in Tampa?
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take LSU. Even though they're a program that is less excited about this bowl spot, participation tells you that that's not the case. And, you know, at Wisconsin, with some of the limited playmakers that they have, including Allen, Mordecai injured, LSU is wanting to win it. The players talked about the 10-win season. We can debate that, if it's a big deal or not. But I think they'll be ready to play, and perform well today.
All right, and finally, the last two games of the bowl season, if you will, the playoffs. Don't have to worry about opt-outs or motivation in this when we can actually just talk about the football part of this, Jimmy. Let's start with the first game. We're way past the should they have gotten in or not portion of the college football playoff discussion. It's Alabama. It's Michigan. We certainly had enough of the Jim Harbaugh off the field talk stuff. So these two teams square off today in the Rose Bowl with a shot at the national championship on the line, and Michigan is the small favorite here.
Yeah, Michigan, as the number one seed, has their choice of venue, and so they not so much that they're picking Pasadena, but they're preventing Alabama from a drivable, game for their fan base. So they're playing in Pasadena when the sun is setting and behind the San Gabriel Mountains, and so they still get their start time there. I just think that Michigan is lightly tested. They basically played two teams that have any shot at beating them, in Penn State and Ohio State. Allaire was really bad in that one. A lot of that is Michigan's defense. But a team that is going to set a record for the most players drafted in their program's history, they don't have the same, and a lot of returning players, they don't have the same explosive elements to their offense. And I don't know if the distractions have played. Now, 10 different anonymous Big Ten coaches claim that they're not the team since all these distractions started. But we know how the league coaches are all against Harbaugh in this thing. So I'm not sure how much they're speaking with their heart. But the fact remains is they got Corum back. They got the other running back back. They got the quarterback back. They got all these guys, and they're not. I mean, the seven, I forget his name, the running back. He's less than half of his yards per carry than he was last year. Corum is on a yard less per carry. I mean, you saw what they did to the quarterback in Happy Valley. Didn't allow him to throw a pass the second half. So against Alabama in an improving quarterback, and certainly Georgia's defense, I think it's as good as Michigan's. I saw Ohio State move the ball. I think, I really like Alabama in this spot. We know about Saban and with a little extra time to prepare. So, Alabama is a popular pick for both the pros and the Joes. So I'm on Bama as well.
The second game in the Superdome tonight, the Sugar Bowl. Number 2 seed Washington is an underdog to the number 3 seed Texas. We saw the last time Washington went out, they beat Oregon. That went a long way towards assuring Jaden Daniels getting the Heisman Trophy when Bo Nix lost. But Michael Penix, finished second in the Heisman voting. He's been a favorite of ours. He's a heck of a player. Got his work cut out for him. Texas and Washington in the Sugar Bowl tonight.
Kalen DeBoer, and which Washington team will we get? The one that limped down the stretch after their win against Oregon the first time in Seattle, or the one that looked so good in Las Vegas in the Pac-12 championship game and basically won Jaden Daniels the Heisman that night? I know one thing, Kalen DeBoer is, 9-0 against ranked teams at Washington. That's unbelievable, and he's as good as it gets. I know he'll be prepared. They have a great matchup. The weakness of Texas team is their secondary. That's a bad matchup for Texas with the targets, more of the capable targets, explosive targets that Penix has with the Washington. They also did a lot of quick stuff against Oregon, so they will neutralize some of Texas' front. I worry about that big defensive lineman for Texas. He is the real deal. He's a difference maker. And then on the other side, Texas offense is coming in on a roll. 60 points against Texas Tech. Couldn't be stopped. Chunk play after chunk play. Charlie, I'm sort of conflicted on this one. I guess I got to go with DeBoer taking points in this one. But it's not my favorite play because, the lower-ranked team that's favored over the higher-ranked team, it concerns me. The undefeated team, Washington's done all they could. The Pac-12, not just our opinion, but Conference RPI was a stronger league than the Big 12 this year. So, man, I just got to take the DeBoer plus any type of points, but it's not my favorite pick because I think it's going to be a really, really good game.
I know who I'm rooting for. Washington is easy to root for. Texas, not as much for me. So I'm kind of on the purple and gold in the Superdome. I'm rooting for the Huskies. I hadn't decided exactly who I think is going to win yet, but I'm rooting for the Huskies.
A little bit of a driving distance for Texas, though. And they're excited since it's been in the playoffs since, I guess, Vince Young. And so They may chew up the secondary market for the tickets for tonight's game.
I'm certain that they have, and this actual version of the playoffs, this is their first trip. So yeah, biggest game since Vince Young for sure. Auto Locks brought to you by Excel USA for construction, maintenance, fabrication, and turnarounds. Look to Excel USA. They're also a trusted partner in emergency management consulting and disaster response and recovery, plus project management. Excel's ability to manage projects of all sizes and complexities, the foundation of their success. For more information, check them out at excelusa.com. Jimmy, enjoy the games, and we'll catch you for the show tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. All right, Charlie. Take care.
Jimmy out with Auto Locks, and we'll be back with more New Year's Day edition here. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Off the bench on Game Day. Presented by Shell. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana. Off the Bench is heard weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from OTB, Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
LSU, Wisconsin about to go down. Some insight could be gained into maybe a bit of what LSU has to look forward to. And I would say Oklahoma was in a somewhat similar spot in the Alamo Bowl with getting eyes on their future. Jackson Arnold getting out there and playing for the first time. Of course, Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon, kind of being shown the door to Oregon. And it was an up and down affair for Arnold, right? So I think Oklahoma fans are pretty much kind of got what they expect. It's a freshman quarterback. Good, some bad, whatever.
Arizona's good.
Arizona's really good. We can get to that as well.
A heck of a job, yeah.
Now, there are a couple key differences, though, between Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, and Garrett Nussmeier and LSU. First off, and the main one is Jackson Arnold is also working in an entirely new offensive line.
Right.
Due to transfers, NFL decisions, I think literally all 5 Oklahoma offensive linemen were new faces. Garrett Nussmeier is going to have the advantage of making his true debut behind the best offensive line in the country, in my opinion, and with 2 first-round NFL wide receivers on the outside. I would also say that the experience that Garrett Nussmeier has over at Jackson Arnold means that we should grade him a bit more harsh. And Wisconsin's not good, right? Wisconsin's not.
They're not. No.
They're not nearly as good as Arizona. And so this all comes together just to say that, like, if you're an Oklahoma fan, I understand being, bullish and a bit forgiving of some of the mistakes that Arnold made last night. I think it's okay for LSU fans to hold Nussmeier to a pretty high bar here.
It is so wild that Garrett Nussmeier has been here so long. We've seen him play so many times that he's never started a game.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to believe because it feels like, well, yeah, he started a game. And, I mean, he's come in games early. Max Johnson gets a series against Arkansas a couple of years ago, and then Nussmeier comes in. He finishes the game. But, no, we haven't seen him be a starter, go a full 60 minutes, and be the guy. So I think a lot of us are looking forward to that because of what we think it can be. But I agree with you that the standard is going to be higher than it was for Arnold in Oklahoma. You've got your weapons, not only receiver, offensive line, tight ends, running backs. You've got everything. Like, this is LSU minus Jaden Daniels. Like, that's what you have. And so for Nussmeier, like, he has the opportunity, and also he knows these weapons. Like, he's not coming in from somewhere, and this is his first year at LSU.
True.
Like, a lot of these guys are his recruiting class. Like, he's been with these guys since he was in high school, right, going to camps and different things. And so, no, there's a rapport there, and I'm expecting him to go out there and have a big day.
Yeah, I mean, I think he will too. Like, we're predicting, I think all the elements are coming together for him to dominate and for the Nuss bus to really gain some steam. It's just interesting to me to watch each team manage what bowl season has become. And a lot of people have decried what bowl season has become. I don't know if making a good or bad value judgment means anything, because that's going to be so opinion-based. It's definitely different than it's ever been before, but it also remains deeply interesting. So, like, what will LSU's fate be? Will we be excited about Nuss? Will we be yelling and stamping our feet about Matt House? Like what will be the big takeaways that will set the tone for the long dark of the offseason?
I am excited because I do think that the level of play is going to be high energy from LSU. I think it's going to be high execution because you've got your guys. Now, like, we know why Malik Neighbors is playing, but that's still awesome that he's going out there and he wants to be the all-time leading receiver in LSU history. That means something, right? I mean, you've got guys that are probably going to end up in gold jackets that have been here and played receiver. So love the fact that everybody is locked in, ready to go. And this Wisconsin team, they have struggled, but how different will they look now with extra practices and different things? I mean, it's still Wisconsin. It's still a quality program and a very quality head coach in Luke Fickell. So I'm expecting LSU to come out fully engaged and go out there, and I expect them to win the game.
Yeah, LSU's offense should absolutely dominate. It's the defense that's the big question. The defense should do very well. Wisconsin's dare rate hasn't worked against much or many this year, but again, all bets are off with the film that defense has put on tape, because that's really where I think the temperature of the game is going to be decided, in that if this Wisconsin offense, which is not good, comes out there and puts up points and moves the ball consistently and converts third downs. Like, you think it's loud now with the Matt House stuff? If you go out there and put on a bad performance, it's going to it's just going to dominate the offseason.
I don't think there's any question about it. It's probably going to, regardless of how they perform. Yeah. You're going to have the guys that you thought were going to be there. I did see J.K. Johnson from transfer from Ohio State. I did see him post, like, him practicing. Now, I don't know if he's going to be available to play in the game, but remember, that's somebody you brought in from Ohio State. He missed all of the season because he got injured in camp. I believe it was a fracture in his leg. But so we'll see exactly who you have available. But again, like, Mekhi Wingo's playing in this game, so you do get some bodies back. I mean, maybe one of your best players in Mekhi Wingo. Now, what kind of form he's in and shape and all those things, we don't know that. But I would just look, guys that you're going to see next year, Whit Weeks and Toviano
Too long
and
since you've got
Stamps
real
and-
eyes on Weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I want to see.
Yeah.
Like I want to see Greg Penn's coming back. Okay, well, we know what Greg Penn is. He'll be in there as well, but I do want to see some of the young players that we haven't had a chance to see and allow them to use this as a springboard into the offseason. I mean, you know that. You played in bowl games.
Yeah.
You can take momentum from a bowl game. I know for me, 05 Peach Bowl, we played against Miami, and to that point in my career, I was a fullback. And then I was somebody that came in to close out a game if we were up playing running back.
Yeah.
You know, just, hey, we're going to run power 17 straight times and get in there and get at it. But then in that game, we had injuries. We had guys fumble. We had guys miss pass protection. And Les is like, get in there. And so I had a chance to get in there, had like 11 carries, got to run behind Andrew Whitworth, which that was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Scored a couple touchdowns. And then from that, I got to actually compete for the starting running back job in the spring because of that one bowl game. So for me in my career, like that bowl game really propelled me to being the starting running back for 2 years at LSU. And you can have those moments, not only for yourself, but in the coach's eyes.
Yeah, and the practices leading up to the bowl are a nice chance for a guy like Javid Toviano or Ashton Stamps to kind of exhale. Because when you are thrust into a season for the first time in a starting role. And this is even the case if you know you're kind of going to be the starter going into the season, right? Like you win the job at camp. The regular season, your first year especially, can feel a bit like you're on a train where the lever is jammed, like full acceleration. You can't do anything. You're just trying to keep it on the tracks, right? Like you are hurtling down those tracks. There's no stopping it. Because as soon as you get done with the game on Saturday, you got stretch and stride on Sunday, you got practice on Monday, you got and then it all starts over again, right?
Yep.
And the next opponent's right there. So like when you get to this period of the season, you can finally take a breath and like, ooh, okay, I can get back in the lab, get a couple weeks to get my body right, study, work on technique. And so you can take pretty large leaps from then to now. And so I think I want to see if these guys are taking advantage of this. And this is a Wisconsin team that, though they run the air raid, averages 200 yards passing a game. 200. You should shut them down. I want to see Sage Ryan and whatever role they have him in. So, yeah, the secondary, I hadn't thought about Weeks, but you're right. I am extremely excited to see Weeks. The secondary is probably what I'm most intrigued by. Unfortunately, I should be excited for Harold Perkins, but they just neutered him so badly this year that I'm sure he'll still come up with a couple plays because he's so undeniable that he does. But I doubt, I have no great hope left that they're going to put him in any sort of special position to succeed.
Like what players do we expect to see maybe that we haven't seen? I think Womack mentioned yesterday that he is going to be the starting jack linebacker in sub packages.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
So, I mean, that certainly is something that could be exciting. And that's kind of something that we're talking about, okay? Somebody that we think is going to be a really good player, somebody that's flashed, right? Not going to be fully consistent. It's a young football player. Otherwise, he'd be out there in a struggling defense. But with 15 extra practices, and again, you know how important those are. They're not normal practices, and I think most of our audience knows that. I mean, you get after it a little bit, right? Because you're like, okay, well, if you get injured, you know what? It's the end of the year, like T-Bob's talking about. You don't have to stretch and stride the next day because it's over. It's done. You have time to heal, recover before you get to the fourth quarter program. And so they're more physical. And with LSU's numbers, like it's not physical for the young guys because the young guys are the guys on that side of the football. So like a guy like Womack, a guy like Jordan Allen at the safety position, like some of the players that we've seen a little bit, like little flashes from, well, in a bowl game scenario, they'll get more run just because the coaches want to see them. So in the regular season, let's say safety position, well, we're going to put Major Burns out there because he knows what he's doing and we feel more comfortable with a veteran player. Well, in a bowl game, it's like, hey, let's roll Jordan Allen out there and see what he can do. And that's what you do in a bowl game.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for let's see what they can do, guys. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing some of the guys that we have not seen because this defense needs a complete overhaul. It needs a facelift in the worst way, and you need to see if these players are players you can count on in the future.
For what it's worth, I think LSU smashes. They should. They really should. Like, I don't know, Jake, that you could come up with an acceptable excuse for losing this game. You know what I'm saying? Every other loss this year, it's palatable. Florida State was awesome.
Yeah.
Ended up undefeated. Ole Miss ended up being really good. Top 10. Would have made the playoffs if they'd been the last team in. If it was a 12-team playoff. Alabama's Alabama. No excuse for this one. No excuse. And I don't think they will, to be clear.
Brandon Hawley here. Wood windows with a lifetime guarantee? ReliefWindows.com.
Eagle 98.1, WTGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting with Shay Dixon from On3 Sports.
Presented by Ralph's Market. Ralph's Market, where quality and customer service are a family tradition.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Set to bring you the Shay Dixon recruiting interview here momentarily, but just a little disclaimer in the interest of transparency. We did record this interview prior to the Dominic McKinley commitment to LSU last night. So when you hear us talk with Shay about Dom McKinley, it is as a target, not a commitment. But he did commit to LSU last night and is set to sign on the traditional signing day in February. Now, our interview with Shay Dixon. And welcome back in, Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Counting you down, LSU and Wisconsin in the ReliaQuest Bowl. But we'll take a break from that game and talk a little recruiting as we're kind of right in between now, the early signing and the traditional signing period. A lot of hay in the barn, a lot still left for both 24 and 25. Welcome in Shay Dixon from On3. Shay, appreciate the time as always. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yes, good morning. Happy New Year. And let's get rolling here with an early game.
Yeah, we've had a lot of those, Shay, whether it was State or Mizzou or A&M. This is the 4th one this year. LSU fans probably couldn't be happier about that. Let's talk early signing period first. The way this works, a lot of the hay goes in the barn there, and it was for LSU back in December, and quite honestly, it was a bit of a quiet day when it came to commitments. Second full class under Brian Kelly. Leave it pretty open-ended for you, Shay. How'd they do high school signees? Why?
I mean, it was a really successful day for them when there's no drama. When you have a drama-free signing day is always considered kind of an A-plus effort. they knew what they had going in, which was commitments from 27 players, and they were able to get all 27 signees in the boat without any guys visiting other schools in the final few weekends. It would have made things kind of nervous down the stretch, and that pushed them up to a top 10 class on the On3 industry team recruiting rankings. And then there was a surprise in a good way when Cohen Eccles, a 4-star, a top 200 prospect, and former Texas A&M commitment visited LSU on the final weekend before the dead period. And then he announced on the last day of the early signing period that he was choosing LSU and signed with the Tigers, and gives them another offensive lineman and a 6-man offensive line haul for Brad Davis, who's done really well recruiting that position the past few years since he's been on staff. So I don't think it could have gone much better, given we knew kind of the realistic expectations of what was in front of them. And now they move forward with, 28 signees from the high school ranks, which Brian Kelly had said from the start he wanted 25 to 30. And they've added a few transfers already who have, gotten their paperwork cleared through and are now officially part of the program. So things are moving in the right direction, as Kelly said, from shifting the philosophy of heavy on the portal and then, maybe midway, split on high school guys. Now it's way more high school guys that they can develop, and just take a handful of portal guys that can kind of patch holes for you or help you out with some spots where you might feel like you don't have the depth.
One of those transfers they got that's going to be looking to patch a hole is obviously at safety, and they went to Texas A&M to do it, and that's Jordan Gilbert, a Louisiana native, obviously, as most transfers are these days for LSU. What are they getting in him?
Yeah, it's a big one. He's coming back from Baton Rouge from U-High, and a guy who LSU was on in high school, but didn't really press the prior staff as much as a lot of people thought that they would end up doing, and he ends up going to A&M and spent a couple seasons in College Station and has starts under his belt. He got hurt this year, but was a starter prior to that. So you've got SEC experience. And look, we know that this year, Andre Sam and Major Burns, they combined for 1,500 snaps or something. I mean, there was no other safety on the team played more than 125 snaps. It was just those two guys. Getting a guy like Jordan Gilbert now, whether like Andre Sam's out of eligibility, is Major Burns going to move on or stick around for one more year? We don't know the answer to that quite yet. We will after the bowl game ends. But I think that right away that, hey, look, we don't have a ton of experience in the safety room, so Gilbert brings that as well as talent. So I like that addition of bringing a Baton Rouge guy back who what you're getting, and he's already played in the SEC and done it at a high level.
Xavier Thomas, receiver from Mississippi State, another Louisiana native. This one's interesting for a lot of reasons. Look, he had a great year catching the ball in a Mississippi State offense that they really couldn't figure out what they wanted to do. But I think what catches a lot of people's eye is what he's done in the return game. And mine, too. Shay, did they finally find one here for the return game?
They have finally found a return guy that I don't think will take out if he drops the ball. And I honestly don't think he'll drop a ball because, look, when we saw it with Malik Neighbors in the Florida State game a year ago, get his shot at kickoff returns, and the turnovers led to Gregory Clayton getting the starting nod there and really just being a guy who fair-catched it and gave it back to the offense, and that was okay. And that was even more perfectly fine this year when we thought it was going to be Aaron Anderson, but then he fumbled in the opening game against FSU on kickoff. Or punts, excuse me. So they went back to Greg Clayton, and you can do that when you have the number one offense in college football. The offense is just going to move the ball down the field and score. You're not going to have the number one offense again next year, at least not the production they got out of a guy like Jaden Daniels. So you want some spark on special teams. And I think what Xavier Thomas brings, which Aaron Anderson and even Malik Neighbors didn't have, was college experience. Like, yes, they were great high school return guys, but Xavier Thomas has done this for 2 years in the SEC, and both years been highly successful. One of the top 5 as a freshman punt returners in the country, and then this year one of the best in the SEC again. He's also got a kickoff return under his belt now in that game against A&M. So there's some excitement around LSU right now from talking to people about what he can bring to the return game. And then, as you noted, he went over 500 yards as a sophomore as a receiver in a state offense that was not the state offense of, the Mike Leach air raid days. It was one, as you noted, that couldn't figure it out, and they end up being, maybe second to last in the SEC above Vanderbilt in terms of offense. So I think they averaged 180 passing yards a game, which for LSU fans is that was a quarter, basically, or about a quarter and a half of a game this year. You toss a guy like this into the mix when you lose Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, and you've got another viable option at receiver who's played in the SEC. So I'm with you. I like this for multiple reasons. I think this could be, when we look back at it, the biggest addition they made.
Wow. Shay, looking forward to the traditional signing period, what is the biggest target left? Or I guess maybe even who is the biggest target left for LSU before the February signing day?
I think there's two of them, and they're both 5 stars right now. It's Dominic McKinley over at Acadiana in Lafayette, who remains committed to A&M, as does the other 5-star I'm going to talk about. But McKinley, being an in-state kid, did not sign with any team despite being committed to A&M in December. Is going to push it to February. LSU gets an official visit in January, which we had been waiting to see if LSU would be able to get him and his family onto campus for that extended weekend, when often things can kind of really get pushed in the right direction if you're an LSU fan. So that'll happen in January. I'd put him probably number 1 on the list, considering he's a Louisiana guy. But it's probably more fair to say it's a 1A, 1B, considered that Terry Buss, a 5-star athlete out of Timpson in Texas, who also remains committed to A&M but did not sign early, is going to visit LSU again. He's already made an official visit, and he's had the Tigers right there alongside A&M as one of the teams he's been most interested in. So those are the two names. And Bussy plays everything in high school, so he could play on either side of the ball. They like him on the defensive side as a defensive back, which is obviously, whether it's corner, safety, nickel, you name it, it's what we know they could use help at. And they're still in it. Look, if he was dead set on A&M, he would have signed, and he didn't. So the window is at least cracked there with both guys. So those two, Terry Bussey and Dom McKinley, I'll throw as 1A and 1B as a couple 5-stars for the traditional National Signing Day, that first Wednesday in February.
So, look, LSU is going to play Wisconsin today on the 1st. And then in the next few days, all eyes are going to really turn to recruiting in the class of 2025. A couple guys to ask you about. Let's take them in order of commitment. Start on January 3rd at the Under Armour All-American game. Harlem Berry, running back from Metairie, moved his commitment day. It was originally, Shay, supposed to be in December, correct?
Yes, okay. Correct, and now moved to the 3rd.
Moved to the 3rd. LSU seems to be a heavy favorite here. Any concern there for the Tigers?
I have not heard any concerns crawl up yet or come into the picture. And look, this is, you'll have to remember, and look, Barry is announcing in the Under Armour game. He's only a junior. He's going to become the first underclassman ever to announce the game, which is kind of cool. But It's also 10 years to the day or at least to the week of this game, that Under Armour All-American game MVP, or one of the top performers of that game, Leonard Fournette, made his college decision as a 5-star running back, as the number 1 running back in the country, coming out of New Orleans, being recruited by Frank Wilson, and now Harlem Berry is that exact same kind of label on him, right? He's being recruited by Frank Wilson. He's the number 1 running back in America. He's got the 5-star, and he's going to announce at the Under Armour game just like Fournette did. So I do believe good news will be coming there with Louisiana's number 1 overall prospect for 2025. And I just like the irony of that, or at least the coincidence that 10 years later, here we are again in Tampa looking at a guy who's going to, I should say Orlando now, they moved the game, that is expected to commit to LSU and would give LSU the number 1 running back in America.
That is a nice little twist of fate there, hopefully, with the anniversary with Leonard Fournette. And then, Shay, lastly, before we get you out here and your time appreciated, it's Bryce Underwood. I mean, we've talked about him plenty throughout the season on this segment, and he's set to go January the 6th to make his announcement. LSU was trending pretty heavily the last time we spoke to you about him. What's the latest there on LSU's pursuit of the number 1 quarterback in the class of 2025?
Yeah, look, I spent the past week in Tampa, and just from talking to different sources down here around the LSU program, the dust has settled now from all of his visits, and he took a visit to Michigan for their final game. He took a visit to Bama right before the dead period. But let's not forget that he and his family had made 4 visits to LSU in the span of 6 months, and that really, I think, pushed LSU ahead of Michigan, maybe even to start the season. Then toss in that LSU had the number 1 offense. Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. He saw what the receivers can do when guys like Malik Neighbors lead the country in receiving yards. Brian Thomas leads the country in receiving touchdowns. And then you've got guys like Harlem Berry announcing right before he does. And DeCorian Moore is already committed as the number 1 receiver in America. Teron Francis is already committed as the number 1 receiver in Louisiana. So I think Underwood sees all that as well, and I think that's really helped push LSU even further up his list. So it'd be foolish to count out Alabama or Michigan, the in-state team. But when you put all the pieces out there, I still think that, again, with the dust settling now from all these visits, that LSU is the team that's out front. And I do expect, at least my prediction would be right now, that Underwood picks LSU, and that would be one of the biggest commitments for them in, the modern era of recruiting. He is the number one overall prospect in America, and it's not like he's from, Lafayette or Baton Rouge or New Orleans. They're having to go to Michigan to get him, and at a position like quarterback where it can, as we saw with Jaden Daniels, really change the trajectory of a season and a program and all of that. So I feel good about it right now, but let's see. If you're an LSU fan, hold your breath, cross your fingers, and hope you can get to January 6th, and then he'll announce. And hey, look, and then the most fun part about that is then you have to wait a whole year for him to sign.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun next 12 months if they're able to get him, because then it'll all be about keeping him.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't be the last time you're going to be asked about Bryce Underwood, Shay. I think that you have many more questions.
We're only in the early stages, I feel.
Absolutely. Shay Dixon on Twitter at Shay Dixon. Y'all get over there, give him a follow. Get over to On3, get subscribed if you haven't already. Shay, you've been great with us all year, man. We appreciate the time, and we'll do it again soon.
Yes, thanks so much for having me again. I enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media.
Presented by Rev. Fiber fast internet made in Louisiana.
Joined now by Bill Schmid, 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee, also part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Give us a closer look at the Badgers. Bill, we appreciate the time this morning. How are you?
Thanks for having me on, as always.
Happy New Year, indeed. I know last time we had you on, we talked a little bit, kind of about the bowl destination and what it might look like. Now we have more information. We know players on each side who aren't going to play, who are going to play. So focusing a little bit more on the game here, let's start with Wisconsin's bowl prep. How has that process gone for the Badgers since the game was announced?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think the biggest part for the Badgers is that they are still in the midst of a transition, right? They're transitioning offenses and defenses. So while bowl prep is on full go and everybody in that building is trying to gear towards getting a win, Badgers take bowl games extremely seriously. They boast right now the longest bowl streak in the Big Ten. And it's something that I know the University of Wisconsin really is extremely proud of, and they take these very seriously. That being said, they are full-fledged right now in their pursuit of transfer portal grabs. They just grabbed an inside linebacker from UNC. They've grabbed a couple of different linebackers, a couple of outside linebackers, and what they're really trying to do is reshape that defense. There's only going to be one main guy in the interior of that defense, Jack Chaney, who's going to be playing in this game coming up. However, Muma Meta graduates. He might play this weekend, but then George Turner also gone in the transfer portal to Michigan State. So they knew that they were going to have a little bit of a transition. Right now, they're still in the midst of trying to build for 24 while still being quarterbacked by Tanner Mordecai, who's a sixth-year senior transfer in. I kind of thought maybe they would go Braden Locke. Instead, they're going to go Mordecai. He's been the leader of the team, and the big loss that they'll have on the offensive side of the ball is Braylon Allen, who decided that he was going to go off to the NFL and potentially be a day 2, day 3 pick there. So they've had some losses, no doubt about it. However, if Wisconsin tradition holds serve, they've been taking these 15 practices extremely seriously as they're down there in Tampa right now.
Okay, so you mentioned Mordecai, you mentioned transition, and obviously Braylon Allen not playing. Wisconsin's going to want to run the football. It looks like that's going to kind of put the onus on Tanner Mordecai to take that next step. 6th-year guy, like you said, very veteran. What have you made of his season to this point? I know there's been some injuries in there, but it came really highly talented out of SMU there.
It's been pretty impressive to watch what Mordecai has done on the ground. I don't think anybody anticipated, just when you look at the sticker shock of the numbers, 70-plus touchdowns in his time starting at SMU. His numbers through the air were remarkable, but he's really, really elusive with his feet and a smart runner with the football, figures out ways that he knows he might be maybe a little bit limited athletically, but it's not like you're looking at a slow dude. He's quick enough to run away from people and not take huge shots. The injury that you alluded to was broken thumb, and he was unable to grip a football for 3 weeks. But, Matt, this is the interesting part about it in the transition and why I say it's pretty clear he's the leader of that team, even only being on campus for a full year. When you are a grad transfer and you've only been on campus for 8 months, it's pretty easy for the team to move on and go and start the guy that's going to potentially be there for another 3 years. Try to build on some success that Braden Locke had as the starter. They were pretty quick to go back to Mordecai. And Luke Fickell has talked about it a number of times of his toughness. He came to Wisconsin wanting to better his draft stock. He went in last year, I believe, anticipating to go to the league and didn't get the results from the scouts that he was expecting. Didn't get the feedback from NFL scouts that he was expecting to get, believing that he could be, a selection in the draft. Didn't get that validation. So he came back to Wisconsin, went to prove that he could do it in a big conference, was kind of robbed of it, didn't get to play in their biggest games, gets hurt against Iowa in a game that they absolutely had a chance to win, and misses the Ohio State game, which I know he had circled, in a game that ultimately was kind of winnable for Wisconsin. They let it get away, and the final score later looked a little bit less competitive than it was, but that was a battle into the fourth quarter. So he has had a season that many would be okay with. However, in year one, all the expectations, a very philosophical shift here in Wisconsin with the amount they're throwing the ball, running a spread offense. That's very different. People went into it ready to complain, and Tanner Mordecai, I think, unfairly for some of it, right, man? People want to bitch. Let's be honest. That's their favorite thing. National pastime. He caught a little bit of that flack, but I think unfairly so for a bit of it.
What is the confidence level you think the coaching staff has in him that he can go out there and command the offense and move the ball against an LSU defense that, Bill, let's be quite honest, they have struggled all year?
I'll be honest with you. I think they're pretty confident in Mordecai, absolutely. So I don't know how confident they are in the others in that room. Braden Locke, I mentioned, then they lose Miles Burkett, who was an in-state kid, but maybe a little small. Maybe wasn't slated to get some action on the field in real time. I think on the outside is where the Badgers might be a little limited, right? We mentioned Braylon Allen going to the NFL, but Chimere Dike has been their leading receiver each of the last 2 years. He transfers to Florida, so you guys will get to see him down there with Graham Mertz next year. And Skylar Bell, also a somewhat productive receiver for him this year, transfers out. But they got a lot of talent there. Quincy Burrows is a name that I imagine you'll see. Bryson Green is a name that I imagine you'll see. And C.J. Williams was a transfer, former four-star kid from USC that people were extremely excited about here in Wisconsin. Results may be a little underwhelming. I would anticipate to see four have a pretty decent workload coming up this weekend.
How do they replace Braylon Allen at the running back position in this game, or can they?
It's a great question, Matt. I'll say this. Braylon Allen, again, extremely productive, but to say that they would be unable to replace his value would just be a discredit, a disservice to what the Badgers program has done for the last 20-some years. I mean, they have brought in backs who are extremely productive year in and year out. Cade Yakimelli will be a name that you hear. Jackson Aker is a thicker former fullback turned tailback. He'll get a larger workload. But I do believe that it's going to be mostly through the air, and that's where, as much as Braylon did get a really good amount of run later into the season, when the weather got cold up here in the north, they did turn to zero quite a bit in those games that they had to have. They won't have that, especially around the goal line, but I anticipate to see the ball through the air just a little bit more coming up on Monday.
Talking with Bill Schmid. He's on Twitter at Bill Schmid Radio, 97.3 The Game up in Milwaukee and part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network as well. We're getting a preview of the ReliaQuest Bowl, LSU and the Badgers. Let's flip sides of the ball, and you mentioned kind of the interior of the defense there. Now, look, here's the thing. They catch a break. They don't have to face Jaden Daniels, but they do have to face just about everybody else on the LSU offense that ranked number one in the country this year. No offensive coordinator for LSU as well, though, as Mike Denbrock's off to Notre Dame. So how have you seen that matchup maybe kind of shift with the Wisconsin defense versus the LSU offense, given no Jaden Daniels and a change in leadership at the coordinator position for the Tigers?
I'll be completely honest with you, Matt. I don't think anybody listened or cared once they found out that Jaden Daniels was going to the NFL. It was like an immediate celebration of, holy cow, there's a chance. They didn't anticipate believing that, like you mentioned, pretty much every other piece of that number one ranked offense is going to be on the field. And I think everybody was feeling a little bit better before they watched Miller Moss go on out here and throw 6 touchdowns in reserve for Caleb Williams. There is a remarkable amount of respect for LSU up here and what that program is, what it's been, and the type of players they bring in. So I think Badger fans and the team alike understands that you don't get a scholarship offer to play at LSU without being a serious talent at that position. So while Jaden Daniels not playing is a massive break, everybody's excited to know that there is some fear as to what an unscouted look of a backup quarterback could be. And you know what? This is the other part of it, Matt, and I think we're really learning this about the bowl season now, is it is a opportunity for guys that have not been on the field significant time throughout the year, especially with the amount of guys that are jumping in the portal, the amount of starters who otherwise would be returning and would be taking those snaps in the bowl game. There's some guys that would not be on the field at a lot of different institutions, and I think many looking at it, I think many in the betting line will look at it and say, oh, LSU's got a bunch of guys leaving. Wisconsin's won with a significant amount of turnover, and I think that is going to play pretty significantly coming up in this ReliaQuest Bowl.
Last one for you, Bill. Your time very much appreciated. If there's blueprint for Wisconsin to get it done against LSU, how does that look?
It's going to sound crazy. You're going to have to score enough points, right? You're going to have to score with. But I do believe that seeing some of the leaders from this Wisconsin defense playing some of their last games, I mentioned Mubajang Meta, Jake Chaney in there in the middle, and Hunter Waller, number 24, is a name that you're going to want to watch out for and have an eye on. You'll see him a bunch. Box safety, comes down and plays extremely physical. They got to take the football away, and they have not been extremely opportunistic in the last 6 games or so. But in their wins, especially against Nebraska, they got a key turnover. Preston Zachman in the back end, number 14, was the one that came up with that one. And taking the football away has been a big part of their recipe. They don't turn it over a whole bunch, but they got to win the turnover battle because it is one of those games where one of these teams is 7-5 and is very excited to be in a New Year's Day Bowl. Yeah. The other side, I know that there's some disappointment on the LSU side, and that's for good reason. This is a championship program going up against a program that wants to be there. They are fighting at maybe a little bit of a weight class, so they know it's going to be a dogfight. They got to get some things to break to go their way.
Bill Schmid, 97.3 The Game up in Milwaukee, part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, as well as on Twitter at Bill Schmid Radio. Bill, we appreciate the time so far throughout this bowl prep season and for the information today. Thank you.
Absolutely, Matt. Happy New Year to you and the listeners, and thanks for having me on. Hopefully we do it in 24.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Talkin' Tigers. Talkin' Tigers.
Presented by TRICARE. TRICARE. For all your gas or diesel vehicles needs, take it to TRICARE.
Talkin' Tigers.
Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier.
It's going to feel good, for sure. I've been waiting a long time for this, and I'm really excited. It's going to be, I'm going to be focused on not getting caught up in the moment. I mean, this is what I love to do. I love to play the sport of football, and I love to represent this university. And getting that opportunity to do so is going to be fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. But, my goal is to win the game and to play good.
Defensive lineman Makai Wingo.
I'm feeling really good, actually. The last few weeks, we've just been doing more stuff each and every week, so added me I started off doing individual periods, then started out doing some scout, and then been working my way in against the one offense and stuff just to get back in the groove of things.
Offensive lineman Emory Jones.
Just him being a playmaker, him being a great leader. I feel like he's taking it upon himself to lead this team, and I feel like he's taking it personal. And I feel like he's doing a great job of just getting us all together and getting us all going in the right direction.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
Just everything about Makai. Just his energy, his leadership, just his presence, really. He's not really a loud guy, but just knowing that he's out there, I think makes other guys on defense feel comfortable, and really the whole team, really. He wears 18 for a reason, so having him out there is very big for us.
Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier.
I wouldn't say it's been different in my preparation. I feel like I tried to play to my role as best I could whenever it wasn't my opportunity to start and be ready and prepare like I was a starter. But with that being said, it's way different, getting the reps and getting to work through everything and expecting to play and knowing I'm going to play. It's exciting.
Defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo.
Obviously, Wisconsin, they're a team, they hang their hat on running the ball. They're going to try to be more physical than us. And, really, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to run the ball, and I think we'll be ready for the challenge.
Offensive lineman Emory Jones.
We've all been bought in since the beginning of the season. I feel like everybody in the building does a great job of just kind of focusing when they need to focus. Like around this time, everybody needs to be focused in on the bowl game against Wisconsin. And I feel like, everybody's doing a great job of that. Everybody's in here early, checked in early. Nobody's having to be called about being late and stuff like that. So it shows the maturity that we have on our team.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
I think Garrett is a great leader, very poised in the pocket. When things aren't going well, he's always trying to uplift guys, keep the energy up and things like that in practice. So I'm very excited to see what he'll do in the bowl game.
Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier.
I think it means a lot. I think it shows the buy-in of the program, the buy-in of Coach Kelly's methods. It's our process that he always talks about. And, I think we've done a good job as a team growing from last year. And our record may not be as good as it was last year, but I think as a team we've made strides forward in the direction of buying into the program and doing the right things day in and day out. Coach Flint works a lot with us on that. It's just repetition. And it's just like anything. It's repetition playing quarterback, it's repetition playing receiver. Well, it's repetition of being a part of this program and doing the little things we're supposed to do every day, doing them right, doing them on time, and, building the program that we want to build.
Defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo.
Getting a 10-win season is something that a lot of teams don't do. So getting it back-to-back, that's a great step in the right direction for the program. And I know the guys in the locker room and myself, we really want to get that for the coaches and for the team, just to build upon.
Offensive lineman Emory Jones.
You just got to hold your blocks a little longer, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, maybe when Nuss looking with his eyes down the field. Jaden usually, checks 3 guys and then gets out of there. It's going to be a little different with Nuss back there, but it's a challenge that we're willing to take. And I feel like we're elite enough to handle it.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
A hard-playing team, a team that executes very well, knows what they're good at, knows what they want to do offensively. Really good offensive line, big guys, powerful, downhill backs, downhill runners. So I think it'll be a great test for us. And they do a pretty good job RPOing off the run. So it's going to be a challenge. But we just got to go out there and execute, really just focus on us, and I think we'll come out with a victory.
Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier.
It's been really good for me. Coach Sloan has really helped me become a better player and a better person. And getting to work with him one-on-one every day it's definitely helped my career a lot. And I think that was part of the reason why I came back was Coach Sloan and the relationship we have and the ability that I believe he has to coach me.
Defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo.
We've had some conversations, but they haven't been, overwhelming on trying to get me to come back. They want me to make the decision that's best for me and my family. But we definitely talk about it, how I can come back and get better and just continue to grow and help the team win and be a leader for the team.
Offensive lineman Emory Jones.
I feel like the O-line next year is definitely going to be a strength on the team, and I feel like we're going to lead the team. Coach Davis has been implementing on us that, we got to take control and we got to lead, we got to be more vocal to everybody, not just people on the O-line. So, we've been taking that as a chip on our shoulder, and we kind of been trying to do that as much as possible.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
I think we just need to go out there and just show improvement. Obviously, this whole year we haven't played to our standard, and everybody in the building knows that. The guys in the room know that. We know we need to play better. I think everyone's looked at each other in the mirror, looked in the mirror, and we know that we need to play better. And I think starting this bowl game, having great execution and going out there and playing hard will really help us going into the next year.
Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier.
I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I'm going to do here, and I'm just going to trust my coach and trust my teammates and do what I'm told to do and lead the offense. And I wouldn't say I'm trying to make a statement or anything like that. I've been here. I know what to expect. I've been here, worked, and I'm excited.
Talking Tigers. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
After further review on Game Day, presented by the Grove Recovery Center. The Grove Recovery Center. Recovery designed for you. After further review is heard weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from AFR, here's Matt Moscona.
And we'll bring you back into Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Matt, good morning. Happy New Year.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year.
What are you expecting from Garrett Nussmeier today?
I expect he'll throw 30 passes. I think he'll have some pretty spectacular plays, throw for a lot of yards, and I think he'll have a couple of picks too. I don't know that there's any reason to believe what we've seen from Garrett in a limited sample over 3 years would be different than today, but I'm excited to see it, guys. I mean, we can talk all we want about the importance of 10 wins and all that stuff. None of that matters with respect to the importance of 15 bowl practices with Garrett Nussmeier taking every single rep with the ones and having an opportunity to prepare for a game as the starter, knowing he's going to get every rep.
And what are you expecting from Joe Sloan as a primary play caller?
Now that is, I think, way more interesting, guys, because when Mike Denbrock had his best offenses, they featured a mobile quarterback. I mean, just think to Desmond Ritter at Cincinnati, Jaden Daniels this year. So that dynamic is gone with Nussmeier. It's not to say Garrett isn't an athlete, but you're not going to call a half dozen quarterback design running plays for Garrett in this game. So I think the LSU offense is going to look different because you don't have that dynamic of the quarterback running. So I think those plays are replaced with more passing plays. So I think LSU probably won't be as balanced as we may think 50-50 run pass, because you don't have the dynamic of the quarterback running.
Do you think that they have decided on an offensive coordinator already, or do you think that it depends upon the results of today's game?
I do not think they've decided on an OC, and I do not think it depends on today's result. Joe Sloan was the play caller at Louisiana Tech just for one season. He was the OC there 3 years, but he only called plays that last year in 2019. So
it would be hard to look at a job like LSU's offensive coordinator where you're replacing a guy that just led LSU to the number one offense in the country and say, it all comes down to one bowl game. So I'm not going to put too much stock into this game. Now, I know Joe Sloan wants to be an OC. It's why he wants to be a Power 5 OC than a head coach. He's an ambitious young coach, and I believe he will be a head coach sooner than later. And this may be the direction Brian Kelly goes. I mean, my personal preference, guys, is when you're LSU, you don't need to take a risk. We saw it with Jake Peets a few years ago. Like, get someone who's been an experienced Power 5 play caller. But I also see the merit in if you find a young, innovative offensive mind, you give them that shot. I mean, look, Bob Stoops did it with Lincoln Riley when Lincoln Riley was in his early 30s, and that certainly worked out. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Joe Sloan, but we've seen that pattern work. But to answer your question, no, I don't think it's just the result of this game, but Sloan is certainly in the mix.
All right, Matt, we appreciate you getting up early with us and spending a few minutes here. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. See you.
Matt Musso from After Further Review. We'll take a break, go back to Tampa here, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Inside the Stadium. Inside the Stadium. Presented by K to Z Window Coverings. K to Z Blinds.com, where style meets functionality, both inside and out.
And we head back down to Tampa. Game time. Countdown to kickoff. Just about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours away. Our Bears countdown to kickoff. We're bringing the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Chris, good morning. How are you? Okay.
Whoa.
Let's see if we can. There was a Pop-Tart joke that I was looking for. I just it sounded like the Pop-Tarts crackling or
okay.
whatever.
I didn't know you were going to go there. Or maybe
no.
they stopped at a car dealership. And the service wasn't good enough there.
Maybe they would. Did we lose him? Okay. Whiskey and Wine right after the game is going to be at Walk-Ons on Burbank, the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We'll be back 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Wisconsin. See if we can get back. I think they are en route into the stadium. Let's give this another shot. Chris, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you fine, Charlie. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Kind of set the stage for us, what the trip's been like, and you guys getting ready for the game here in a couple hours.
Yeah, it's been a great week. We came to the team on Tuesday. It's a lot of good energy. And I go back to what Coach Kelly would say. Really, since the back end of the season, which is trying to reach that 10-win plateau and back-to-back seasons. That seems to be the mission. There's been a very business-like approach to the trip, to the practice, and even some of the fun events the team has done. And I just truly believe in this day and age, it says a lot about what's going on inside that building. That this team is coming down here, pretty close to full strength as far as opt-outs are concerned. So I think they all kind of bought into how important it is not only for them a chance to shine on New Year's Day, the first bowl game of the new year, but also to put this program with a chance to get 10 wins. So I really believe this team has bought in. Again, we can look back just a couple of days and see that's not always the case.
Chris, I'll tell you what, we got a real bad connection with you guys. I'm going to let you go, and you guys have a great call, a safe trip back, and we're going to hand the baton to you at the top of the hour. But we got a pretty rough connection, so we're going to let you go and head on to pregame. Okay. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're making their way into the stadium. I think they've got the police escort and everything. So we're just gonna move on. We'll take our final break and we'll come back and wrap things up on our version of pregame. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
The best kept secret in town.
98.1.
Okay, test time for LSU, for Garrett Nussmeier, for Joe Sloan, for Cortez Hankton, and for the 2023 Tigers to kind of put a bow on this season and make it a 10-win campaign. Whiskey and Wine immediately following LSU and Wisconsin. That'll be from the original walk-ons on Burbank. Richard Dixon and I'll be back 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Wisconsin, which will be right about the time that the national semifinals are kicking off between Michigan and Alabama. For Casey, for Taylor, and for Musso, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you and a very good morning. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.